So my name is Mr. Dodd. I'm from Belgium. I'm 38 and I am a victim of emotional and sexual child abuse at the age of 9. It happened in 1989 and the emotional child abuse happened over my childhood from a very young age until I left my family home. I don't know how long this conversation is going to be. It may be half an hour, and maybe an hour, maybe all night. I don't know. If all of you have any questions, please feel free to drop them. I will try to answer them as much as I can, but wait closer to the end because I may miss some questions. So I will answer them later on. So, why am I doing this? Because for 29 years, I have been in my head, been sleeping and suffering as a post-traumatic stress disorder without realizing that I did until I spoke to my friends about it. But before I start about the most difficult part, which was a sexual abuse one, which is my story, I'm going to talk about the emotional abuse because it's so many different things. I have done some research, so I wanted you all to be aware that child abuse is so many types of it. All right, if you go to nspcc.org.uk website, it's incredible the amount of information. You parents, if you are watching and you're a parent, it's very interesting for you to go to their website. I mean, I knew a few things because I've been a victim, but when you read it, it's actually scary. You can have domestic abuse, which is what I've suffered as well. Sexual abuse, I've suffered of. You can have neglect. Online abuse, which happens a lot these days. Physical abuse, when people get hit. Children get hit and bruised, broken bones. Fortunately, I am not on that one. Emotional abuse, I suffered a lot through my childhood. Bullying, I've suffered a lot through my childhood. And it's a lot of other crazy amount of different child abuse you can learn about and see if your children are part of these categories. So, one thing on the video that I have shared earlier is that most people think that child abuse happens with strangers. All right? It doesn't. 90% of the time, when a child is abused, especially sexually, is from a local friend, a neighbor, a coach, a friend of the family, a close part of the circle of friends. Because a child will always trust you as a parent and will trust that your friends are good people. In my case, that good person was not a good person. Anyway, it's one of the big things I wanted to summarize. On the Younique website, you can find out about the charity I want to support, Defend the Innocent, where there are a lot of myths to say that sexual abuse only happens to girls, but 1 in 4 girls it happens, and 1 in 6 boys will be sexually abused before the age of 18, which is crazy. So I was one of the 1 in 6 boys. As I said, everyone thinks that it's usually strangers who abuse children. No, 90% of children know their abusers. I knew my abuser very well. Most sexual abuse are reported? No, it's a myth. Like me, I'm 38. It took me 29 years to put myself out there to actually realize that that was not right. And I will tell you through my story why I was so quiet for so long. Sexual abuse, it's not inevitable. You guys behind that screen at home are responsible for your children. So I encourage you to go to the descriptive.org website from the Younique website link and find out how you can train yourself to be more safe for your children and how to approach them with sexual conversations, which can't be easy, but it has to be done. All right. So here is my story. So let's start in 1989. 9 years old boy, very cute. You saw the picture I have shared a couple of days ago. I come from a family of 5 children. 2 parents, who sadly my mum passed away not even a year ago. My parents worked really hard to be able to feed and provide their 5 children, 4 boys and a girl, with everything they ever needed. And we did, promise you, had everything we ever wanted. But we never saw our parents very much. They're always working non-stop. My mum worked really hard, my dad worked really hard, which means my oldest brother was responsible for a lot of looking after us in the house. My oldest brother is now 40, 2 years older than me. There is me, second oldest. My youngest brother is 37, a year younger than me. And then we have a little gap with another brother who was born in 86 and my sister in 88. So it's 9 years between the 5 children. But anyway, talking about emotional abuse and what was domestic abuse, these two are very important to me. And you will understand why I fell in the grip of sexual abuse. All my childhood, and I feel it's going to be hard for me to share this because I love my mum so much and I love my father so much, you know, and losing my mum was the hardest thing I've ever done because we were very close. But I was the second child. My mum and dad only wanted 2 children. So I was second, my oldest brother was a boy, and I came second, and my mum was expecting a girl. little did she know that one day I would turn into being gay, you know, and she had a bit of a girl in me, but never mind. We had a laugh about this later on in life. But when you are young, you know, you got parents working hard, and you're like, I was always wearing pink, I was always playing with Barbies, I never wanted to be with the boys, I always wanted to be with the girls. And while I grew up from a very young age, probably from age 7 to the age of 16, I was bullied on a daily basis by my brothers, sometimes by my own parents, by neighbors, by schoolmates, by everyone at school, because I was a little different. This kind of emotional abuse is unacceptable, as we all know today, because it creates a very big trauma in people's mind. I grew up with a very unhappy childhood. I wanted to escape home many times. I wanted to stop my life many times, especially more in my late teens years. When I was younger, between 7 and, let's say, 14, 15, I had no choice but be at home with my family because I just could not escape. I tried social services, they always sent me back home. The relationship I had with my parents was very difficult. My mum and I never get on. My dad was always out. He always came back late. I always was fighting with my brothers. My oldest brother used to punch me on a daily basis, so much that neighbors kept looking an eye on me because I always had big lips. I was bleeding a lot. I've been suffocated many times under the pillow. I was punched just on a daily basis, literally. For fun, it seems to have been fun at the time for my brother, and later on in life we used to laugh about it. You know, I forgave him because I survived, and that's who I am. I just don't hold grudge on people. But when I look back, I'm like, oh my God, how did I cope with this on a daily basis? By my own brother, and another brother suddenly started hitting me, and I even have a lump. You can't see it there, but some of you know me now bald. I've got a lump here, which has been from age 11, where one of my brother took a very heavy brush, a street brush, and banged me so hard I was bleeding all on my face and created that lump here. So I've got that scar forever. It's not just the malformation of my skull, it's actually a trauma from my childhood. I have a few scars on my body from smashing glasses around the house. My parents were fighting a lot. Lots of cutlery going, knives going, between children, family, which used to throw furniture everywhere. I have punched many doors. I have, I mean, you imagine 5 children in a very small house with 2 parents exhausted on a daily basis from working so hard. And me, I was very unsure what was happening, why I was bullied every day, why people thought I was different, why people thought that I wanted to be with girls all the time, and I was just not wanting to play with the boys. For many, many years, I thought I was just nobody. Even my own, I can't believe I'm saying that, my own mum used to call me a thing. I was just a thing. I was not a child. I was an unwanted thing that was just there. But as I said, I love my mum so much, and we talked about it, and we recovered over the years, and we became the biggest friends on the planet. I accept people make mistakes, people have difficult times in life, and now as parents yourself, some of you, you know that when you work so hard, you sometimes don't realize what you tell your children, and you get stressed and overwhelmed, and you say things you don't mean. But as a child, it's domestic abuse. And it's only later in life that you realize, like me today, that they didn't mean any harm. Didn't mean any harm. They just wanted the best, but they just couldn't cope with everything. So the fighting kept going for years and years and years and years. I'm surprised I haven't got another phase than this. One of my brothers got a broken nose, for example, and it's never going to be repaired. I was pulled by the hair on the street by my oldest brother in front of the neighbors. Some neighbors didn't do anything. A good friend or neighbor screamed at him and said, "Stop pulling your brother by the hair." I was, 13 at the time. And I mean, I've had so many horrible times. The punching and the every day, it was very hard, and we hated each other. But anyway, so imagine seeing your parents fighting every night, your mum drinking. You know, it was really difficult because I wanted to love them, but I couldn't. I wanted to be part of their life, but I wasn't. I just didn't know how to be part of it. I always was the black sheep, I think that's what you say in English. And many of you must be wondering, how on earth have I become the person that I have become today? So positive, loving, caring, I think so anyway, outgoing, who likes to be in the spotlight. Well, my past made me who I am today. Good or bad, I am who I am because of my past. And I have my parents and my family to thank for, even if when I look back, it was hell. I was always hiding. I didn't have many friends. I was always in my bedroom. I always hide under my bed when I wanted to hide from my family. I sometimes escaped in the middle of the night and did walks for hours and came back before my family woke up. I used to go through forest. I was petrified. I was 12, 13. I used to escape home a lot, but always had to come back, as I said earlier, because I had no choice. I even one day, at the age of 15, walked for hours and hours to go to see a friend who was the girl I liked at the time, and even knocked at their door at 5 o'clock in the morning saying, "Can I come and live with you?" I stayed with them for 2 days, but they said, "You can't stay with us, you have to go back to your family." I mean, once my dad and I was asked to leave the house because my parents were fighting a lot, you know, and we were asked to leave completely. And for a long week we were away from the house. You know, as I said, I'm not punishing my parents because I love them so much, even more today. And obviously, having lost mum, I had the chance. Actually, I'm going to give you a piece of advice here. I have gone through hell with my mother, but gosh, I love her so much. And fortunately for me, I have no regrets, because my mum and I, for many, many years after I left the house and came to England 16 years ago, we recovered from the past. We accepted our mistakes. We accepted I wasn't easy to live with. They weren't easy to live with. I have hit my mother so hard once. I blocked her on the sofa because I was so angry, so fed up of being a victim, that I literally punched her so hard. And I feel like I have been a horrible child. I don't know what you call it for, you know, domestic abuse. I was domestic abusing my mum's that day when I lost it completely. So I'm not an innocent for everything. I'm not saying I'm a victim for everything. You know, you're responsible for your own actions as well. But anyway, oh my God, where am I going with all this? I mean, I'm still on the domestic abuse. I'm trying to warm up myself into the really deal of sexual abuse for later on. I will still watching. I'm just not even reading what you're writing because I don't want to fall into confusion. Yeah, my childhood was hard, okay? I think you got that. You got that message. You understood everything in there. I was trying to explain, there we go, how did I manage to escape from this misery and sadness on a daily basis? I'm gonna, oh gosh, sorry. Ooh. It sounds silly, okay? It's gonna be very silly. But this little thing I'm gonna show you is what helped me on a daily basis to stay happy and find hope somewhere. Alright? Here is my friend. He's been with me, I don't even know if it's a he or she, got no name, has been with me for the last 38 years. Since I was born, this little man appeared in my life. Now I'm saying it's a boy, there we go. And I still have it today on my bed between me and my husband. Alright? Since Mum died, I love it even more. So, this little thing has seen and heard everything from my life. Some things that nobody should have heard. But I was confiding to that little teddy bear all the time. I slept with him all the time, crying, sniffing. Oh gosh, this is my friend, my best friend on the planet. Once one of the dogs at the house took it and ripped it apart. I was destroyed. For years it was in my drawer because nobody wanted to repair it for me. Until I met someone in 1999, that was like 4 or 5 years later. The mother of a girlfriend I had at the time was very good at sewing, and she said, I will repair it for you. And she did whatever she could with it. I mean, the legs are the wrong way around, for example. You know, I mean, it's still here. Anyway, the eyes are not the original eyes. But anyway, it's just to show you that children are very innocent, but they always try to find comfort where they can. And most children, I do believe that, have a little friend like this that means everything to them. So it's there with me to give me comfort. And already I'm feeling better. It was just there watching me and like, come on, take me, I want to give you a hug. So, what I want to tell you about emotional and domestic abuse, if you have children, please be considerate. One shout in the house will not explain the child why you are arguing with one another. It's an unacceptable behavior. I know life is hard, financial difficulties, relationship, family, neighbors, it can be any reason. Please do not argue or shout in front of children. Do not throw cutlery, plates, throw furniture to one another. Do not slam doors for no reason. Breathe, leave the house for 5 minutes and say to each other you love each other, because you never know what's going to happen. It's just so important for a child to realize that their parents love each other, because if you do show that love doesn't exist in your house, how do you expect your child to know what love means and where it comes from? It's very important. Another way for me to escape from my horrible time, apart from my friend here, I listened to music a lot. I was putting my Discman, you know, we all had the Discman at the time, my cassette player even, and I was listening to music a lot and painting. I'm an artist. I was painting a lot. That was my escape. Another sad story is one day I started writing my journal, so I had a journal. It's part of domestic abuse again. My mum started reading it. Please don't read your children personal information. It's their life story. It's their own. Do not do this. Do not open their letters. It's child abuse. What belongs to them belongs to them. It's not for yours. It's none of your business. I know you're a parent and you think everything is your business, but it's not. It's child abuse. Have a look at the NSPCC website for all the information. So, yeah. So I think that's enough information about my childhood domestic and domestic abuse. That was the domestic abuse. Let's talk about school, all right? Because I have spoken to many of my friends, and many, and still today, are not talking about it. Bullying is a big deal for me. I'm still suffering from that. Sometimes I get paranoid. I still have paranoia from my bullying at school for so many years. Being called a faggot, a poof, a girl. I mean, now when I hear it I laugh, you know, but when you're growing up from 7 years old through your puberty to when you're 16, 17 and you leave your house and try to live your life, you're questioning yourself so much and you don't even know who you are anymore. So you're making mistakes because you've been put things in your head and you don't know what to do with them. So I've been called all sorts, you know, all sorts. And I was never fat. I was always been lean. So this was never about that. It was about my appearance. What are you wearing? You know, I look at your teeth at the time. That's why I had my teeth done not long ago. You know, oh, you always do your curtain hair. When I had hair, you always had to have hairspray. And, you know, I had the Backstreet Boys curtain hair for years. And it's just like I was wearing fashion. My fashion was always flashy colors. Because one day I rebelled. You know, after the story I said when I hit my mum, I was probably 15 or something. And from that day, I turned my life completely around. I said, F-U-C-K everyone. I'm doing what I want. I'm gonna be rebelling. Most teenagers do this. So I rebelled and I became somebody else. But not someone I actually liked myself, because I was pretending to be someone I wasn't. So bullying at school turned me into actually a nasty person. I became very aggressive, very talkative to the teachers, even to the headmaster. I was telling everyone to fuck off, literally. I failed at school miserably for many times, for many years. In Belgium, we have a system where it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 for secondary school. And if you don't pass your year, you restart it again. So I did year 1, year 2, year 2, year 3, year 4, year 4, year 5, and I was going to year 6, and I was like, no, I can't even do that. So I was, 18 when everyone else was 15. So I gave up school. I went to social services, and I applied for money to my parents because I had left them at the age of 18 on a really bad time, and just left the house and told them, I'm gonna get you back. And took them to social services, and felt really bad about that after a while. But I cancelled everything and never spoke to them for quite a while. But never mind. Oh guys, do you know what? All my past is coming back, and it's so much crap. No, not crap, but so much horrible memories coming back, and I'm like, I don't want to bore you with all of this. I think you got the message that we all have a personal life and personal stories, and it's hard. So don't bully people at school. You know, if your children are bullied, please speak to them. Make them feel very special. Find out about bullying. You know, children do not understand what life is about and what lies ahead for the future. If I had known that there was so much support out there, but I don't think there was in the 80s, I would have gone to it. Today, there is no excuse. There is, so much support for parents. It's free most of the time. Talk to people. Talk to people. Talk to people. Do not keep it inside. Just sharing this with you is already releasing so many years of weird emotions and feelings that I have kept for too long. Sorry, I'm starting to read some of the things because I'm starting to relax a bit. Yeah, just talk to people. Alright, so we talked about domestic abuse. Just a big summary of my life. I'm trying to write a book, but it's going to take a long time before I even do this. Because I have so many crazy, shocking, scary, upsetting, emotional, unbelievable stories to share with the world. We all have, but not everyone knows how to express it. And I think over the years, who have become today, I feel I want to inspire people. You know, I'm not Mr. Universe, I'm just Mr. Toad, a Belgian guy who's moved here 16 years ago and has learned so much from Norfolk and around the UK, and everyone has been so supportive, everything I've done. I will conclude this part of the domestic and emotional abuse before I go to the next level by saying that, what did I want to say? Oh gosh, I've lost my thing. Yes, so why am I so confident today? Because I have had that question many times since I spoke to friends about my past, and how people don't believe that I was introvert, unsecured, hiding in a corner, being in the dark, being disliked, not in the spotlight, unsure of what I was going to do in life, a failure on a daily basis. I was a failure. How I didn't kill myself, how I didn't go the wrong way in my life. This is a big question everyone asks me. I have cut my arm, you know, with steak knives just to get the pain out. You know, when I was 18, just to get everything out. Took a steak knife, did 4 lines and kept going on them every day. I still have 2 scars showing when I'm a bit more pale. And some people have actually asked me before, what's these lines there? And I don't really tell them, but now I've told you, I can tell the world. You know, I never took drug. I smoked, but I was just smoking cigarettes. I never really drank to the level of alcoholism because I know my limits and I don't like drinking too much. That's never been me because I have seen my own mother destroying her life of alcoholism and seeing her on the floor for many years, which is she changed later on in life. All right, that was my childhood we're talking about. So, oh, I need a glass of water. One moment. I'm sure you're still there. Give me a wave while I drink a little love, because the next chapter is a bit graphic, a little bit emotional, scary. So many emotions actually are coming right now. I feel good to have told you about the emotional and domestic abuse. Really good, because a lot of us suffer of it. I mean, I'm not just saying, oh, look at me, I can't believe it's just me. No, I know some of you, even listening now, have suffered your own way, and you have all had to deal with it your own way. And who we have become today is because of your past. But what you do with today is down to you. It's down to how you're going to take your life in control. And this is how I explained to my friends about what I said earlier. How did you manage to become the person you've become today? So positive all the time. You're going to find this a bit strange, but that's my way, okay? One artist in 1998, 97, I think it's 97, I was just 17, a Belgian singer. I don't know if she was to listen to this video one day. She would probably want to meet me. She's a Belgian artist, and she saved my end of teenage life and helped me to start my life. She sang in French, but she released her first 2-3 songs for an amazing album in 1997, and her name is Lara Fabian. And those of you watching me who knows her will be like, really? That screaming singer? I bloody love her. Still a big fan today. She released an album called Pure. Her songs are about love, homosexuality, self-respect, loving one another, life in general, just what everyone suffers from, you know. When she released that song on homosexuality, I had already an assumption that I loved men anyway at the time. And because every time I saw George Michael on television, on the videos, on MTV Music, I always felt, oh wow, that guy is good looking. So, you know, I had mixed feelings already at the time. So I think Older was about 1997 as well, around the same time. If I may be wrong, but it's hard to remember so many years ago. Anyway, obviously coming out, you know, so that song, that album, that singer in 1997 changed my life through her music. I listened and listened to it, and it empowered me with the lyrics to think that actually I am who I am. You know, what else can I be? I am me. So let's embrace life. And she released an album as well called Carpe Diem, which was an earlier album that didn't do well. So, but now it's done well because she became famous. And this album, Carpe Diem, opened my eyes even more, because it made me realize that you need, trying to translate from French to English, you need to embrace the day, day by day, you know, love life as it comes. And this is my motto every day. So I decided to leave my family just a few months after this album came out. I called the neighbor and I said, can you take me out, please? I need to leave. I'm leaving now. And I found a social service apartment, and I left, and started my life as an unsure, am I gay, am I straight? So I was dating girls, and at that time I met a guy, and we had a first moment, blah, blah, blah. And then I met a girl, and that's another story for another time, all right? Not tonight, because it's got nothing to do with the subject. But it helped me to be myself. So to answer the other question I had still on the same subject, on how do I become who I am today, it's you guys. You. All of you who've known me for the last 16 years or in the last few days, it doesn't matter. I do not read books. I listen to music. I watch TV for films and inspiring documentaries of true life. And what I'm inspired by is you guys. I listen. I watch you. I analyze people. I see how people behave. I see how people react to what I say. I see how people emotionally engage with others in social circumstances and social circles of things. I took a gamble of changing my life from very insecure and unsure about who I was to this very outgoing person. But it took me a while to get there. You know, it took me a while. I couldn't speak to people. I couldn't be in social spaces. I still today can't handle crowds really well unless I'm on stage. It's a different matter. I still have social difficulties to interact with some people because I still feel I'm being judged. I'm still not being the right person for who I want them to perceive me. But then I realized that today, in the last 7 years since I met Ed, especially my husband, I'm just me. Do you know what? I love my life even more. Since Mum died last year as well, I've embraced life even more than I have ever done before. So I just be myself. Those who don't like me, go that way. Those who want to follow me, come this way. My heart is open. I'm an open book. I never lie. I'm honest. I'm genuine. I'm trustworthy. What you see is what you get, and that's it is. Anyway, can someone tell me how long I've been on this? Oh, here we go. 34 minutes. Okay, brilliant. I don't want to do more than an hour. So let's talk about this other subject. All right. I just wanted to mumble a bit because I was preparing myself mentally and I felt really emotional. So that's why I wanted to mumble a bit. Sorry about that. So, sexual abuse. I know some of you watching have been sexually abused as well when you were children. It's all levels of sexual abuse. But nevertheless, every child being sexually abused is unacceptable. I will share with you my story, which could have been worse. It's only a small sexual abuse, but I can't imagine children who have gone through worse than what I'm going to tell you, how they've been coping through their life. Because mine was, I don't know what words to use, not extreme, but was enough to fuck my head up for many years through my childhood and make me believe that this was acceptable to have been touched the way I have been touched. So, ready? Let's go back to, I thought it was 1990, but earlier today I went through some VHS that my father gave me from losing Mum last year. I'm going through my life stories because my dad used to love filming everything. So I'm going through the VHS at the moment, and we're putting them onto the computer to be able to put them on the DVD and keep them for life. It was 1989, in August 1989. I used to love going to, I don't know what you call it, summer camps? Is that what you call it in English? I used to love it. Why? Because I was escaping from my family. I was never with them. I was always the only one who wanted to go. I used to love hiking. I used to be I love going out and being on my own and being surrounded by other people I didn't know because I wanted to learn from them. So, one year in that summer camp, I was very close to one guy. He was my dad's best friend. He used to come to the house all the time. I used to go on his laps all the time. You know, kids, they don't realize it's just a friend of the family. Oh, hiya. I'm not gonna give his name because it's still something I struggle with. say, "Oh, hi, how are you doing?" And then I always just jumped on his knees straight away and, you know, hug and kisses, because in Belgium we're very kissy. And so he used to come a lot. And actually thinking about that now, after what I'm going to tell you, he stopped coming. So that's interesting. So he used to come for a long, long time. So I was very close to him. I trusted him. He became what's the word for summer camp people who look after the kids? In Belgium it's a monitor, but monitor in English doesn't mean the same. So he's a scat, whatever, I don't know, give me the word, I don't know. He's one person who looks after the kids. You know, part of a group and a team of all the guys and women who all give activities to the children and make sure you've got incredible summer memories in a different location around the country in Belgium. So every year I was going. But that year, in 1989, I had an amazing summer camp until one night we're all laying on the floor, probably 40 kids and probably about 4 different teachers there looking after us. It was very dark. We all laid a mattress on the floor with a duvet cover or whatever we had. So obviously who was laying down next to me? My father's best friend. Which reassured me, because, you know, with what I told you about my domestic abuse and my emotional abuse, it was nice to have some comfort, to have someone near me that I could cry if I needed to cry, because I was only 9 years old. 9 years old. No idea of life, no idea of sexual abuse, no idea what was about to happen. The weird thing is, today, and 10 minutes before I started that video, we found that tape from that summer camp of 1989. We had, I know I'm not going to tell you just yet what happened, that's coming. Every summer camp we had to prepare a spectacle. So all the teachers organized some dancing, some singing, some activities to when the parents came back after 2 weeks in the summer camp. I think it was 2 weeks, something like that. So when the parents came to pick us up again, after a couple of hours drive, you know, we showcase everything we had learned through the couple of weeks from the summer camp. And the one I was doing, I was a headliner for my age group, 8, 9 years old. And it was on the song La Lambada. Na, 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 na. So if you've been doing Brazuca with me, you will know that we do the Lambada. And every time I play that song, I don't even know why I've done that. I was thinking about that particular night of 1989. But you never noticed it, because that's me. So I was a headliner for my age group, so I learned all the dancing routine of La Lambada, and guess who was in my team? That guy. He could have been in another age group. He was in my age group. His job for the spectacle, when this music started, you know, Lambada, imagine the song, he had to carry me in his hand. So I was laying down flat on his hands, because I was very light, 9 years old, and he had to carry me to the crowd and lay me down on the floor. And then I woke up and started dancing with the girls around, you know, and he was dancing with the girls. So I was his younger version. So we had 2 girls and 2 boys dancing La Lambada. I saw the tape 10 minutes before I started, and I was like, oh gosh, I haven't seen this for most of my life. But it all came back. So I can't remember if it was, no, that can't have happened that night. It had already happened, because that was the last night. So it happened, I can't remember when it happened, but it happened within that particular summer camp. So I need some water. Okay, I'm gonna be very graphic and very straight with the wording, because I don't know any other ways to try to be polite about it. So I was laying down next to him. Remember, I'm back into the bedroom with a big room, 40 kids around, completely dark, sleeping next to this friend. went boo! Sorry. No. So, it's just me, you know, I have to be silly. It's just really hard. So I was laying down on my back, in the dark, when suddenly I felt some movement. I was on his right hand side, so right next to each other, literally just a small gap because it was so tight in the dormer bedroom thing. And I felt some movement on my cover, and I was like, oh, what is that? You know, thinking, oh, is this a rat or something? But suddenly it came to my hand, and I thought, what? It's a hand. It's not an animal, it's his hand. And he took my hand in his hand, and I knew it was his hand because I could feel his fingers, very long, thin fingers. For a 9-year-old, I was like, wow, you know. And then I started moving, and he stopped. I was like, oh, a bit strange. What does he want? You know. I didn't say anything, because at the time, remember, I was very insecure, in a dark place. I never spoke very much. I was always reserved. So, a perfect victim, because he knew me so well from spending many times at my house with my father and mum, to know that I was very shy. I would never really spoke to people, but I felt comfort by hugging people. So then this movement comes again, but it wasn't for my hand. It started touching my leg, so my left leg, and I was like, ooh, what's going on? Is this part of the summer camp? You know, when you're 9 years old, you're like, what the fuck is going on? You know, you don't even know what that means. So you just let him do it. So touch my thigh, then goes between my legs, and start touching my penis, which at 9 years old can't be very big. It wasn't. So start touching me down there. I was just like, oh, what's going on? What do I do? Do I say something? Do I speak to him? Imagine a child in that situation at 9 years old. What do you do in the dark with 40 other kids? What do you say? Do you scream? No, because I was scared. I was already insecure. I would never make a noise, so I let it happen. That's only the beginning. So it touched me down there. Obviously, I had a small, what we call erection, if you can call this an erection at 9 years old, and I remember it vividly, because I had a bit of stiffy on. Now I know it was, but at the time I didn't even know. It's probably one of the first time I had properly had someone touching me, and I didn't even had my first personal masturbation experience. You know, I didn't even know what that meant at the time. So I let it happen. So obviously it felt quite nice, you know. I mean, any man watching this video, or any woman, masturbation is quite nice. It's a nice feeling. You know, as a child you're like, oh gosh, it's quite nice, but it doesn't feel right. Why is he touching me down there? I moved again. So I turned on my side, because I just didn't know what to do. That just didn't feel right. Suddenly something in my head told me, no, this is wrong. So I turned. So I don't know how much time happened in between, but to me, it felt like the night was never stopping. And after that, I turned back on my back again, because when I was a child, I could sleep on my back for some reason. I didn't want to sleep on my front. But I turned back on my back. I don't know how long it took between the two sessions, as I can call it. But the following step was, it started again. But this time that felt even more strange. He started touching me again, because I had stopped the little first session. And this time, he went for my hand again. He took my hand, moved it towards him, touch his thighs. Remember, I'm 9 years old. I have no idea what's going on. I thought, oh, he's holding my hand. He's so sweet. Maybe he thought I had a nightmare because I had turned the other way, or, I have no idea what could have been happening in my head at the time. I'm just trying to understand as a child how I would have been feeling. So I thought maybe he was just wanting to make me feel comfortable because I was maybe having a nightmare, and he knows I was very insecure and scared as a person. But no, suddenly I felt something growing and getting really hard, and that felt really big. I only had a small hand, and it started to make me move his penis, obviously wanking, and I just didn't know what that was. I didn't know what that, to me, big thing at the time meant. Sorry. And it did last a bit. I mean, to me it felt like it would never end. It was just using my hand, but I was not reacting. I was just staring at the dark in the ceiling, hoping for someone to turn on the light, because I just didn't know what to say or do. I didn't understand what was happening at all. So, and suddenly, after a little while, I could feel something really wet, and I was just like, what the hell is that? Is he having a wee or something? And obviously today we all know what that means. So he ejaculated in my hand, So that's literally what happened. So yeah, so he used my hand to masturbate himself. But obviously at 9 years old, you have no idea what that means. So, and after that, I could feel the wet of his sperm, obviously. And I remember using an handkerchief. It wasn't toilet tissue or anything. It was an handkerchief. I remember it vividly. It was soft cotton. And he used it to wipe my hands, and you wipe himself. Then, when he finished his business, he tried to touch me again. And I was just like, why do I have to do something similar? Do I have to take his hand to my penis and do the same? But mine feels so small. And 9 years old, picture this. What do you do in the dark with so many people around you? You can't talk because you don't know if it's right or wrong, and you don't want to disturb people sleeping. And he just tried to do me, masturbate me, but obviously I don't remember what happened to me because this gone blank after that. So, 9 years old, for God's sake. So, here comes the night, so my sexual abuse was a man using me to wank himself, which is not penetration, it's not rape, it's not what some of you may have experienced, but that's my life experience, which shocked me and still got me emotional 29 years later. But now it's sad there, it feels good. Now, so the next morning, I just didn't know what to say, what to do. I stayed quiet, and we had to do that show. So I just followed him and listened to him. He was always holding my hand. Always, like he was scared that I knew something. He always kept being near me. Always followed me to the bathroom. Followed me everywhere he could. Eating next to me. And we had to... Do you know what? But it makes sense now, doesn't it? Stupid. Just got it. Why was he always with me? Because this happened and he was probably worried I was going to tell somebody about it. Despite knowing I was scared. And that's probably why he joined the group to dance with me and the others, so he could check and make sure I was always surrounded by him. All I remember from that summer camp, I was always with him most of the time. So yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? Things that come back to you. So that's my sexual abuse. But what's difficult as a child is you don't understand, as I said. What's even more difficult is you keep this to yourself for so many years, you know, and you don't know how to react. So on the video I shared earlier, it said it's never a stranger, it's always someone near you. And you know, what's shocking is a lot of people who've been abused suffer of depression. Fingers crossed, I haven't. Struggled at school, top down. Shit at school. Burying pain. I've buried pain for so many years until today. I was angry all the time. Contemplating suicide? At my younger age, probably. Today, no. But what's very hard for me to accept, and I don't regret things in life because that's not me, is to not have spoken younger, because I knew another story of another friend who was sexually abused the same way as I did, at the same age, the same year, from our basketball coach. I was doing basketball at the time, and this guy was very caring, and he was arrested because one of us, actually, I wasn't abused by him, but a few of my friends were, and he was arrested by the police because a few came out to say, this man touched my penis and did something to me in the shower. I mean, if you are shy as a child, if your child is shy, if you see your child's daily patterns changing, think about it. My parents have never noticed, never known. He was still coming in the house for only a little while until he stopped coming. Maybe he had done... No, I'm lying. No. Because I wasn't... Oh my God. This is spooky. It's all coming back to me again. I was 9 when he did this to me, and I still saw him until I was 15 years old. Never happened again, but he was always wanting to take me out in his car and go and work with him. He was delivering energy drinks at the time to different businesses. And he said, oh, come with me, you know, and he used to come to my town when I was at school as well. Oh my God. He was delivering things near the school where I was. He was asking me, come on, let's go in the car. Oh my God, do you know what? I'm surprised he's never tried again. Or maybe I was a bit more rebels. You know, I don't know. I would love to interview him today. He's friended me on Facebook a few years back, and I never accepted him. He friended me again on another profile, never accepted it again. He's friend with all my friends in the village I grew up. He's friend with my dad still today. Actually, maybe, I don't even know. Okay, another story about this, you know, so important to you parents listening to this. Because I kept this secret for 29 years to most of the people around me, I have told my parents only 8-9 years ago. One day, I don't know why, I said, Mum and Dad, you know, I'm 31, 32. No, it can't be. Yeah, it's early 30s, just before I met you, Ed. And I can't remember. And I said, Mum and Dad, I have to tell you something. It's bothering me. It's been bothering me for so many years. You may not believe me, but I need to tell you because you're my parents, and I want you to know who your friend is. So I said his name, and I said, this is what he did to me, and they didn't believe me. And that was hard. I never told anybody that was hard, because I felt I'm actually a victim here. And this is another thing about child abuse, is who would believe a child at the time? And, you know, when someone doesn't even believe you as an adult, why would they believe a child? So please believe your child. Check their daily patterns. Why are they reserved, why they're shy, why they're angry, why they're hiding from people. They are hiding something. You need to speak and open a discussion to them, not telling them off. Be caring, loving. I wish my parents at the time had noticed that. That would have made my life easier for many years, and probably would have been happier earlier. Do you know what talking to you really opened my mind about? How many other children have been suffering because I've never told that guy has actually did this to me. And one of my friends said last week or 2 weeks ago, you need to tell that guy's name, it's not too late. Imagine how many other children is he still abusing today, 29 years later, and I feel horrible. I feel horrible. Because I don't know what to do, and that's the next level for me. I've told you my little story, but I just don't know what to do about saying who he was. I don't know. Because he's probably done worse to others. And why is he still out there? I think he just got a child himself. I checked his Facebook 2 days ago, because I knew I was going to talk to you, and I saw a baby on his profile with a girlfriend. What is he going to do to that child? Once a sex child abuser, how can you suddenly change and not do it again? It scares me that I have allowed this to probably still happen. But what do I do? What do you do when you're 9 years old? And you don't get on with your parents, and you don't get on with your brothers and sisters, and you don't talk to people, and you're so insecure and scared of life, and you are unsure about who you are, where you are going, you're bullied at school, you failure every day, you are nobody, you are just a thing. Everyone, I have been sexually abused by an older guy who is a friend of my family, and no, that's fine. I just wanted to let you know, don't do anything about it. Nobody would have ever believed me. Nobody. Because I was always so quiet. Anyway, I think that's enough, really. Don't you think? It's been an hour, and it feels good to share this with you. And I don't feel complete yet, as I said, because it's still there, out there. I mean, not in my head, because I've told you now. As I said, I just don't know if I can give his name, because I don't want to be seen as the horrible guy. That why 29 years later would you destroy that person's life, who is really known in the village where I grew up, who is really well-reputable guy, who everyone loves because he's such an adorable guy, and probably got a child now. Why would I want to destroy his life and giving his name away? Do you understand? I just don't know what to do. Because I am about forgiveness. I am about accepting what happened is the past. Why would I want to destroy his life today? I don't know. It's not me. I'm over it. More now. Thanks to you for listening and giving me love. So yeah, I just don't know. I'm stuck. But on a professional matter, becoming a Younique presenter and realizing how amazing this company is doing in supporting sexually abused women and defend children who are sexually abused around the world. This month, they have released an incredible kudos, and you know I wanted to call it kudos for the kiddos. Sorry. It's playing words, but kudos is what they call the offer of the month. But this one I want to dedicate it to my experience and all the children out there who are suffering today from the past, who will suffer tomorrow because of these bastards. So if you want to support my story and support all these other children around the world, Younique is released this kudos for £49. All the money profit is going to be given to Defen Innocence charity, which is all based for children sexually abused around the world. When they sell out of these kudos, they will have helped 3.3 million children around the world. I believe that's what the numbers are. If you want to find out more, look at my page, Mr. Dodd, Younique Presenter. On the website at the bottom, it will give you videos, a website that you can go to, and as a parent, you can learn about how to educate yourself, to educate your children on how to understand the grooming of people around you, understanding how to sexually help them to not be abused. And all this money raised will help this charity to help all the sexually abused children to recover or to avoid this to happen again. So defendinnocence.org. Thanks, Katrina. If you want to help me, support me, I'm looking to sell to you 15 kudos for the kiddos, I'm gonna call it. Because it means, as you know, a lot to me. Is £49. That can make a huge difference.